everyone. Welcome to this week's Karma Cards. So before we get started, there is some energy coming in a big way. So it's a week where we're getting actually an energy rampage. Today is February 15th and the magnetic field is at about an KP index of 5 right now. The highest it goes is 9. And it's ramping up to, it says a 6. Sometimes when you look at the app, it actually goes higher than that. So right now, today is Wednesday, the 15th. We're at a 5. By the time we hit Friday, it's looking like it's going to be a 6, but it could go higher. It could go either way, actually. But what it's showing us is that there's a ramping in the magnetic field. There's a lot of solar incoming energy. It has an effect on us, our health. It also has an effect on our technical equipment like radios and GPS and things like that. So there's a good chance that you're feeling that rampage. And as we get these rampages of energy, a lot of stuff can come up and out. We are in a cycle of healing. We're doing a lot of deep clearing as well as energy upgrades. And this has been consistently the case for many years. And it just keeps ramping up. It doesn't mean it's going to stay this high. We kind of, when we're looking at the KP, we're looking at peaks and valleys a lot of the time. But when we start seeing these bigger spikes like 5 and 6 and so on, we really are feeling that on the planet. And at the same time, on Sunday the 19th, we have the new moon in Pisces. And we're also looking at the spring equinox coming up around this time as well. So we've got this major shift in energy that's on the horizon, and then this energetic shift in our magnetic field, which is talking about a type of renewal. And when we're coming into Pisces, we're coming into a type of spiritual, a deep level of renewal. When we're working with the Piscean energy, it's going to bring up something broader than your life right now, but more of like your soul expression, soul journey. That kind of information is coming up and forward at the same time. And that reminds me, before I forget, there is a new moon spirit circle happening on Sunday the 19th. If you'd like to join us, I'll put the link here as well as in the description below. We are focused on manifesting and what we're calling in, as well as getting into alignment with the cosmic cycle, because the cosmos is always giving us a hint at the easiest path forward. So when we're in alignment with the greater cycles of energy, we're going to find more flow or more ease in how we move forward. That's not to say that it's going to be easy, just more ease when you're working in alignment and you understand the messages of the universe. And of course, we're also doing psychic Q&A where you'll get to ask me questions and I'll be able to share with you what I'm getting from your team in spirit as well as my own. So if that sounds exciting to you, click the link in the description and I'd love to see you there. All right, so this week, the conversation topic that the team's been bringing up to me is about looking for messages and missing sometimes the most obvious message that's coming from spirit to you. And I've seen this in my own life. Thankfully, I'm not missing the message. I'm paying attention, I'm listening, I'm connecting the dots. And sometimes we have to use detective skills to really see how the universe is talking to us. And it reminds me of an allegory I'd like to share with you. This comes from a song called Truth Seeker by MC Yogi. If you haven't listened into his stuff yet, I love it. It's good stuff. But I love this song because it tells this parable about how to be a detective of messages from the universe. So it's a story about a young yogi who is at his ashram and he's hearing a lecture from his guru, and his guru is sharing with the group that the truth is in everything and that God is in everyone and everything. God is all things. And upon hearing this message, the young yogi is so elated. He's so feeling such bliss about the connection and the oneness with the universe that he's taking this message and he's leaving the ashram and he's walking back home. And on his way home, he's running into people who are letting him know that there's a wild elephant in the jungle and to get out of the way. And so every time someone approaches him and says, there's a wild elephant, you should get out of the way, the young yogi says, don't worry, my guru told me God is in everything, as everything. It's going to be totally okay. And he just keeps going forward from a place of sort of bliss and detachment. And eventually he goes through the jungle and he meets the elephant. And what does the elephant do? The elephant picks him up, thrashes him around, beats him up pretty good, breaks a few bones, and leaves him. And the yogi is mystified. He's just crying and he's in physical pain, but he's also in this anguish that he's like, I thought God is in everything. Why? So he goes back to the ashram, broken and upset, and he's saying to the guru, you said God is in everything, why would this happen to me? And why would this happen if God is in everything? And the guru said, didn't anyone try to warn you on the way that this would happen? And the yogi thinks about it and he's like, well, yeah. And he said, well, God is in them too, you see. God is in everything. And so it's the message behind it is to understand that sometimes we're looking for messengers in a very specific way, and God is bringing us the most direct messenger. Right, could be right in front of your face, could be the person you're listening to, could be me, could be something else, could be the grocery clerk at checkout, it could be a sign you see while putting gas in your car. The most direct path is how the universe communicates with us. And because the young yogi was sort of looking for this bigger message, or believing that this God is everything, and so therefore I am divinely protected from that, was missing that God was trying to help him the whole time through all these warnings from the people. And his ego had gotten in the way and sort of disconnected from the fact that God truly is in everything, and each of these people were acting as a messenger of source trying to communicate with him. And because of that, he wasn't navigating the field well, and then he got attacked. And so the lesson was to recognize that God isn't just messaging you in these sort of like very mystical or magical or sacred ways. He's also messaging you in every mundane way that he possibly can, that the universe possibly can message you, and not to take for granted those messages. And in that, you will actually navigate the quantum field much better and be more in flow and learn to avoid major pain or suffering or even great catalyst if you are paying attention. And I was thinking about this because of my own life and the messages that I'm receiving in my own life. And the message that I personally am receiving is to slow down. I've been getting that message for a lot. And some people who are listening might be some of the messengers of that message. And I love and appreciate you for saying so. But what's really interesting is the ego is definitely also working against our spiritual connection, right? Because the ego wants to be in charge. If we're actually staying open and grounded and allowing ourselves to realize that the universe is going to message us in any way that can most easily get to us, and then we're open, we're listening, and we're paying attention to those messages, and nothing has to go to any extreme to finally get our attention. But many times the ego gets in the way. And, you may have heard about like spiritual ego, which is a different version of ego. Spiritual ego has an ideal about, how the universe is trying to message you, that it's going to be this inner calling, or it's going to be these numbers, or it's going to be a piece of music. And don't get me wrong, all of those are ways that the universe will communicate with you, but they're not necessarily the most direct path. Sometimes they are. Other times it's people in your life who are talking to you, who are observing something and are trying to share what they observe with you. And And the spiritual ego won't acknowledge that, right? Because it'll be like, well, I've done all this personal spiritual work. I've done all this growth. And so you can't be right. Have you done the work I've done, right? And we kind of can disassociate and stop seeing God or the universe flowing through everything. And so the question I have for you today is there a message that's coming to you on repeat in maybe a mundane way that you're dismissing? And this is not to say don't look for the mystical messages. They're there too. But they usually work with the mundane messages as well. So this can be in the form of feedback that you could be getting from other people, maybe feedback from people who are trying to help you, maybe just hearing something over and over again and it kind of sticks in your brain. So that sort of nagging feeling is always the higher self going, pay attention. Because just like the young yogi in that story, if we blissfully ignore the mundane messages coming towards us, we're walking right into catalyst, right? We're walking right into the wild elephant, if you will. And we have opportunities all along the path to avoid this interaction. Ultimately, the elephant represents the lesson, right? The lesson can be soft, as in someone warning you, or it can be hard as the attack itself, but you'll get the point. And so we're always given opportunities to reduce catalyst. And again, catalyst is a term that's used a lot in the Law of One, but it represents the suffering that's in our life to help us grow. Suffering is a tool that we use on a spiritual soul level to help us sort of dismantle false belief structures so we can get back in alignment with what's the truth. And sometimes suffering is the way that we do it, but we can choose to suffer less if we can stay in a place of awareness and recognition that if I'm hearing one person say, slow down, and then another person say, well, you need to slow down, and another person said, if you'd slow down, this would stop, right? So if you're starting to hear things, that's my personal story. If you were to hear something similar, like, you need to put yourself out there more, or, if you would just have the courage to put yourself out there to be seen, this would, open up. And another person saying, like, relax or let it go, or, this isn't your responsibility. You hear the message all the time, right? So I want you to think about what message keeps coming to you on repeat. Are you being asked to relax more? Are you being asked to trust more? Are you being asked to slow down more? Are you being asked to step up more? Whatever the message is, it's coming to you in as many ways as possible. And it's not there to nag at you, but rather to offer you many times a path that is about more ease and grace. Because you will get the lesson. You'll get it now or you'll get it later. And it's really up to you to choose when you hear that message. So hopefully this resonates for you. Let me know if you're recognizing the subtle and mundane ways that the universe is contacting you and letting you know the path of ease or the path forward for you. I'd love to hear it and support you with that. And by the way, so when you hear that message, heed the message, because it is the universe trying its best to help ease the path forward, right? Some catalyst we're going to experience. It's just, again, part of the game here. But we don't have to experience the hard version. That's simply a choice, right? And it's a matter of learning how to have mastery over the ego. So if you're getting a message on repeat and you're putting the two and two together, heed those messages and see what you can do to help yourself so you can have an easier path forward. And with that, let's do some karma cards for this week. All right, for those who are new to karma cards, let me quickly show you how these work. I have 3 decks here: planets, signs of the zodiac, and the houses of astrology. And I've already asked my team, what is the message you had for us this week? And I've got 2 sets of answers, a set in red, which are action related, and a set in blue, which are outcome related. And the way that you play is you tune in with that beautiful intuition of yours and feel what is the most aligned for you. Do you need action related guidance or outcome related guidance? And of course, you can always choose both. And while you are choosing, this reading is for February 15th through the 22nd. And the flavor of this reading, we've got Jupiter. I'm super happy. We've got Jupiter. Jupiter's always about joy and expansion and what's growing. In the sign of Virgo, Virgo being the more analytical one, the one who's here to create the path of service. In the 3rd house, which rules communication and is ruled by Gemini. All right, your spiritual action at this time is to learn or teach the serving of others by making the right connections. All right, so that's literally part of the message that my team was talking about before, about making the right connections, right? Recognize where the messages are coming from. And it just dawned on me, this is all about messages, receiving messages and communicating. I love it when it's so in alignment like that. All right, so again, by making those right connections, by understanding the messages that the universe is trying to send to you, you will be able to deeply learn about how you're here to be of service to others and even be able to teach this concept to others. Mental action at this time, be positive about the details of the idea in question. And the idea in question is how we receive messages from the universe. So be positive about the details, right? Recognize that you don't have to give up the angel numbers and the musical messages. These are some of my favorite forms of communication. But it's also in the things that you're maybe taking for granted or dismissing or just not catching, right? Try this week, do a little test and just see if you can start hearing it, right? The universe loves patterns. It creates patterns. It works in a type of pattern. So it's going to give you multiple opportunities to catch the message. So be positive about the details of how this works and almost treat it like a game. Like if I could set my ego aside for just a few minutes, what is right in front of my face that keeps reappearing or keeps showing up or keeps trying to get my attention? What's right in front of me that I might not be seeing? And you might get blown away by the message that's right in front of you. Physical action at this time, grow and expand, do what you must do, and get your idea going. So they're letting us know this is a beautiful growth opportunity, that this is something that could really open you up to maybe a bigger, something bigger that's trying to happen in your life, right? So if you're feeling stuck, or if you feel like things aren't quite moving forward, please pay attention to this message and really start looking for, what do I keep hearing or getting? What do people keep saying? What experiences, right? So it doesn't always have to be a person or something mystical. It could just be a repeating experience. What keeps repeating right now? These are all ways where we can get this message, and it's trying to lead you to that place that will get you unstuck. It really is here to serve you in your forward momentum. All right, so now let's look at outcomes with Jupiter in Virgo in the 3rd house of ideas and communication. The spiritual outcome at this time is the granting of methods for the healing power of your ideas. So what I get from that is just by paying attention, it's literally what I just said. Stuff opens up and it starts to expand. It starts sort of a beautiful snowball effect in your life. So again, if you're hearing this message and you're in a place where you feel like you're in Groundhog's Day or things just not moving forward or like you're stuck in the mud, really consider the message that's coming here now, because it is the thing that's going to grant you the forward momentum. It's going to get you up and out and moving forward again. All right, mental outcome at this time. Blessings from the analyzing of short-term thinking and trips. And again, what I get with the short-term thinking and trips is it's what's right in front of you. Okay, so this shouldn't be something that you really have to search for. It's not going to be something you have to dig in the past for, although maybe looking back a few days or to last week might help connect the dots and make the message stronger. It's not going to be something that's so far reaching. It's not like you're going to have to go back deep into your childhood or project yourself far into your future, but rather what's happening right now, what's coming to you, right? Think about the young yogi walking through the woods. The people were coming up to him and letting him know. It's going to be like that for you too. And by you analyzing, paying attention, blessings come from that. Physical outcome at this time, good fortune resulting from the perfectionism of who and what is around you. Okay, the perfectionism is God, right? God is in everything as everything. So there is good fortune from the messengers coming into your life. Who and what is around you? What's around you? God, the universe, source, whatever you want to call it, that makes you feel deeply connected to the oneness within. From you paying attention and recognizing that the messenger is perfect. The messenger is perfect, whether it's a person, whether it's an experience, whether it's a squirrel, whether it's numbers, whatever it is. It's the perfect messenger to get your attention. And all we have to do is remember that the universe doesn't just speak in grand or mystical gestures, it speaks in every moment. And when we're paying attention, we're the most aligned and we have the easiest path forward. And with that, I'm sending you so much love. I hope you hear your messages. If you want, share them in the comments below so we can celebrate with you. But I look forward to seeing you next week, and I'm sending you lots of love. Mwah.